This week, we're rallying a team of volunteers in our community to improve a historic landmark.
Boy, I'm really proud of how the community has really come together. We want to divide them up into all of these teams. It'll be like a military exercise. Homeowners love a good, straightforward, practical approach to home improvement.
Not every home needs a total overhaul.
That's why we focus on small projects that'll make a big difference.
Oh my
gosh, yes!
Chelsea always has some great ideas for homeowners.
And Dad's practical knowledge with his fun-loving attitude is why we've been around for so long.
The most realistic, most current home improvement information you're going to find anywhere. Pretty slick, huh?
Families that improve their homes together stay together.
Each week, we help homeowners improve their homes. But this week, we're tackling a project for our home, the city of Mobile, Alabama. We've invited our neighbors to help us improve one of the city's most iconic landmark attractions, the USS Alabama Battleship Memorial Park.
You know, every time I come out to this Battleship Park, I'm amazed at not only how big it is, but how many different things that are here with all the planes, submarines, and a tiny little ship.
Yeah, tiny ship, not so much. But they have lots of memorials, too, to memorialize all of the people that have served in all the different wars from all the different branches.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot more here than what most people think.
Oh, yeah.
On May 1st, 1962, there was an article in one of the Mobile newspapers that said the South Dakota class of battleships would all be scrapped or taken apart. The USS Alabama was the last of the South Dakota class, and before the end of that day, a committee was formed out of the Mobile Chamber of Commerce office to launch the Bring Her Home campaign. And over the next couple of years, money was raised. The most famous part of that campaign was the School Kids campaign.
And we were raising dimes, nickels, and quarters. Matter of fact, I have my original card that they gave to us that we could have to come visit the battleship. Kids not only in Mobile, but the entire state contributed money to get the battleship home.
They raised just short of $1 million, and September of 1964, the Alabama, who had been battened down, buttoned up, and mothballed since 1947, was hitched up to 2 ocean-going tugs, and she began the longest ton-per-mile history tow from Bremerton, Washington, through the Panama Canal and up here into Mobile Bay.
The citizens of Mobile are what was the driving force in bringing USS Alabama Battleship to her name state. And they have continued to be committed and to be involved.
The idea to bring the Alabama home was very popular, but it had to be enshrined in legislation. The legislation says very clearly that this will be a memorial to veterans from Alabama, men and women, for all branches of the service, for all conflicts. But secondly, that the mission of the commission is to educate the public on the sacrifice of those men and women.
We have a full-time education staff, a director with 3 certified teachers.
We have to educate people on our past so that we can know how to proceed as a nation going forward.
Not only do they have the ship that you can visit, but they also host a lot of community events.
Oh, I've driven by here and seen like a car show or a boat show, and then I realized why they need such a big front lawn.
Right.
I can remember coming out here the very first time. I think we spent 4 hours out here and barely saw it all. If you remember how we did the tunnels to tower run.
5K?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we started here and we'd go all the way
to
downtown.
The tunnel. Right. Yeah, my first high school dance was over there in that hangar.
Is that right? Oh, we'll have to dig up a picture on that one.
No, I don't think so. No.
But through those events, get them in the park and guess what they see? The great history of America.
The ship's iconic status has also made it the perfect shooting location for several movies over the years. But at over 150 acres, the park includes much more than just the ship.
We have the Korean War Memorial. We have the Vietnam Memorial. We have the Fallen Heroes Memorial, the submarine USS Drum. Then in the aircraft pavilion, we have about 29 different aircraft of the different time periods. And then when you get on the USS Alabama, you experience what the sailors experienced when they were at sea.
You know, when you walk through the ship and you're wandering around there, you kind of get a feeling of what it would be like to live on the ship. And then the thing that's important to you, the mess hall and all of the food that's available there, you can just imagine.
Stools they sat on while they ate when they were in the Pacific during World War II. Real living history.
There's always something being changed or fixed, but all these things come at a cost. Maintenance is the most expensive operation here.
It's a constant job maintaining the ship, and this is Mobile weather, so.
You know, with the ship and the park being located right on the water,
literally,
that presents a good bit of a challenge with all of the salt water coming in here, and I can see some of the effects.
Yeah, the maintenance is a full-time job.
I get asked all the time, how long does it take to paint the ship? I don't know, I've never finished it. I've been here 33 years and haven't finished it yet.
So we're actually gonna paint the Battleship.
Right, you got the gray, the black on the guns, and I guess all of this will be painted too.
These are real chains?
What we do is mainly a lot of damage control. So having volunteer help is a huge help to us.
Everything we do here is funded through gate operations. We do not operate under the Navy. We're not part of the National Park System. So it's very important that our community continues to support it and keep it alive for all veterans and for all visitors.
And for these volunteers that are local that want to come and be part of that effort, we are so pleased and proud, and we're excited to have them here.
You know, first of all, welcome, and really appreciate you taking some time to come out, because we're going to have some fun and we're going to get a lot of stuff done. Boy, I'm really proud of how the community has really come together. We want to divide them up into all of these teams, the different teams we have. It'll be like a military exercise. We got our teams together. We're going to have a lot of fun today and get a lot of things done, so let's go.
Woo!
It is almost impossible to keep lawn and garden tools from rusting, and removing the rust can be pretty difficult unless you know this trick. I took this rusty shovel and then I wrapped it in some cloths that I had soaked in white vinegar. Then wrapped them up and put them in this plastic bag, and I let it soak for the last 18 hours or so. And you can see, look at some of the rust has already come off on the rags themselves. And now, all you need to do to remove that remaining rust is sprinkle on a little baking soda. The baking soda and the vinegar will really help remove the excess rust. And then scrub it with the wire brush. Wipe it with the rag. The vinegar can cut right through that. There you go, right down to bare metal. Now, once you've removed all the rust, dry the shovel really well, then spray on some lubricant, and it won't rust again quite as quickly.
This week, we've organized a group of volunteers to help with improvements to the USS Alabama Battleship Memorial Park. On board the ship, John from my construction company is leading the crew that'll paint the foredeck.
We're probably going to get 2 people. We'll see how it goes on these guns, and just pick a side and work your way down with the black. The Battleship is pretty intimidating because all I thought about was the men on that ship that would have had to live on that ship and spend every waking moment on that ship. And it just, all I could think about was them.
You know, as soon as you drive up to the front gate, you see that big, giant anchor.
Right.
That really looks good, but needs a little help.
Yeah, a little love and a lot of black paint.
So we have a team prepping it and applying a fresh coat of paint. Next to the gift shop, the pressure washing has started. And over at the B-52 display, Lee from the maintenance staff is briefing the electrical contractor who has volunteered his team to install new LED lighting around the plane.
You know, it's pretty simple for us to set up homeowners to do some work in their house. If they mess it up, it's all them. Here is a different story.
Yeah, a lot more pressure, so I'm glad John's in charge of that. Gretchen, your gun is looking awesome. Hey, John, how's it going? You got your system figured out?
Yeah, we got a good system going on right now.
I didn't realize we were going to be painting the edges and stuff. I thought we were just doing the floor.
Hey, we're doing it all.
You know, when the question came up, how much paint will we need?
Woo!
I went blank.
Oh, just painting the bow, that doesn't sound so bad. But when you look at the bow,
Right.
We're going to need some buckets.
Yes.
They're almost done with the anchor,
Oh.
so you're about to get more painters up here.
Oh, good.
I know,
You too?
put them to work.
You too?
No,
You want
I
a
didn't bring my
paintbrush?
paint clothes today.
But everybody loves this color.
Not the most creative paint palette I've ever worked with, but it's very reliable. Battleship Gray, it's classic.
Painting a battleship is way more fun than painting kitchen cabinets. You're on a boat. Anything on a boat is going to be awesome. Hot, cold, rainy, windy, you're on a boat.
Meanwhile, in the park, landscape contractor Sid Sexton is getting his team started.
We just need this about as deep as the plant itself, but the hole needs to be 3 times as wide. And once we get there, we're gonna stagger these agapanthus around, okay?
The soil looks pretty good, doesn't it, Sid?
It does. Our chief concerns was just figuring out what was underneath here.
Right.
We're sort of in an enclosed space, so I just wanted to make sure that we had drainage.
And I always wonder, with something like this being closed in completely, we're in a hot environment, does that play into this?
It does. Drainage is really the chief concern. If you pick the right plant, right place, you're gonna have a plant that can withstand these circumstances. So, and I think we've got that right now. And this is a fantastic crew. I mean, they're getting after it, and it's a cool project.
You don't realize how big these flower beds are until you start unloading the mulch for them. We're gonna need a lot for these 2 areas in front of the gift shop.
You know, when Exmark found out about the project we're doing here, they knew how much grass was here, and they knew we needed a good mower.
Yeah, a lot of grass to be mowed, so we're gonna need a big one for this job.
Not all these 150 acres are grass, but there's plenty to keep the volunteers mowing. Back at the gift shop, Mark, a foreman for my construction company, has a team building forms and mixing concrete to repair a broken curb.
Well, you got it nice and smooth now, so let's go ahead and mess it up with this rebar here.
Okay.
You know, Mark's a fantastic carpenter, but when you're in the remodeling business, you end up doing a little bit of everything, even concrete curbs.
I'm gonna shove that one down about 6 inches, and then we'll lay that other on top of it. All right.
You must have went on YouTube last night and figured out how to do this.
Yeah. Now we wait.
You know, my friend Frank Ledbetter is a metal sculptor, and he wanted to do something to contribute to this project. I said it'd be perfect if you could make me a nice sign for the entryway. He says, I will, as long as you're my apprentice.
All right, let's get an E and a W and see where we end up.
All right, all right.
I helped Frank with the layout before we started cutting and welding. Now we're installing the sign, which we'll uncover a little bit later. Meanwhile, there's more pressure washing, more mowing, and some finishing on that curb repair to wind up the day.
Cordless string trimmers are nothing new, but I always like to see if there's something new and improved, and I think I found it right here with the Makita XGT string trimmer. Now, this is the 40-volt battery. You just clip it into place and you are good to go. Now, take a look at this guy. This is a string trimmer that reminds me of a gas-powered string trimmer. Why? Because it's got a lot of power and it's got a lot of reach. But one thing I want to talk to you about that I really like the most is this button right here. Now, when you press this button, it reverses the string. Now, whether you get into really tall or thick grass, or you get wrapped around, say, like wire fencing, or even if you're trying to chop up your mulch, sometimes that string gets tangled up. Just by pressing this button, it'll reverse the strings and you can get out of that mess in no time. And it's also an automatic power, so whether you need 3,500 RPMs or up to 6,500 RPMs, this string trimmer has got you covered.
We still have lots of painting to do on the foredeck of the USS Alabama, so most of our volunteers are headed there today.
Careful, wet paint, Dad.
So you wore your paint clothes today?
I sure did. Dad sees himself as the admiral of this project, so obviously he's not going to be picking up a paintbrush. I'm okay with that, and I think the ship is a little better for it too.
I'll just use this. I'm pretty good at this.
I'm sure that is a very necessary component of this project.
It's right-handed.
It's a right-handed broom?
Right-handed broom.
The volunteers that we have are very impressive. They're very dedicated. It was almost like they were getting paid to do it.
I do enjoy painting, but the chain definitely brings on some unforeseen challenges. Yeah, it's very intricate, lots of nooks and crannies to get into.
Some of the guys were like, y'all are gonna be stuck on this for a while, but we kind of knocked it out pretty quickly, which was just really cool.
It's always fun being involved in community projects like this and getting to meet all the different volunteers. Their eagerness to be involved in this project is contagious.
I enjoy the old ships. I enjoy history. I did 20 years in the Navy, mostly on destroyers. So battleships, destroyers, I love these big guns.
I know a lot of people enjoy this space, so if I can help others, you know, find some happiness and some joy out of this city, it makes me happy to do that.
I think it definitely invokes a nice sense of being, like, you know, a part of the community.
And everybody that shows up, you know, has the same objective. We get to be a part of something that means a lot to so many people.
One of the reasons I volunteered, my dad, when he was still living, being World War II Navy, he would come on and do a living history with the Boy Scouts and kind of explain the life of how a sailor lived on a ship.
I love talking to all the different volunteers and hearing their stories, and Lewis is one that seems to be in charge of the landscape crew this morning, so I'm going to jump in and help him plant some plants.
Now that we have cleared out the weeds, we're going to start digging the holes for the knockout rose bushes here.
Okay, and you were saying Sid said to make the holes twice as big as the pot?
Well, once we get basically the main depth on it, we're going to widen it out, because on knockout roses you have to have a wider span for the roots to grow out.
There's that Alabama red clay.
Alabama red clay.
Can't miss it. The roses that were in these beds previously required a lot of pruning, which means a lot of regular maintenance, but the new knockout roses that we are planting don't require regular pruning, so they won't need to be tended to very often.
You know, the company that's doing all the pressure washing, boy, they didn't waste any time at all. They jumped out of those trucks, grabbed those pressure washers, and they've been pressure washing for hours. Everything is so much cleaner and looking so much better right now.
I love a good pressure washing session.
Well, I know you've done a lot of pressure washing over the years, and pressure washing in itself is pretty satisfying, but the surface cleaner, that's like a game changer.
It has been. It allows us to cut job time in half, and you can use it on pretty much any flat surface. It does its job a lot better than just walking around with a wand.
Actually, I heard someone the other day saying, do you ever watch those videos of people pressure washing?
All the time.
Oh, I don't think so, but I heard it's very satisfying. So, hey, thanks so much for helping us out with this project. It's going great, man.
Thank you.
You know, someone else that's really stepped forward here to help us out is Delta Stone and Tony Meehan.
Yes.
He even brought his son along to make sure he did the job right.
That's right. You bring your daughter to work, I bring my kids to work. Tony brought his son.
So, Tony, I guess it's a challenge. I always thought about that when you have heavy granite like this going in front on a vertical surface. That takes a little extra glue, doesn't it?
Yes, sir, it does. Gravity's going to be pulling against us, so we gotta get this epoxy in there and tape it up.
Man, this is heavy.
Yes, sir. Flush on my end.
Good on my end.
All right. We'll get us a piece of tape here.
Best tape dispenser I've seen in years.
Yes, sir.
Boy, I love seeing all of these volunteers and this community spirit pulling together.
Yeah, apparently the mayor loves the community spirit too. He's coming out to help us unveil a special sign.
So, Mayor, I talked with the staff a little bit, and they were talking about how they would like a welcome sign here. So a friend of mine who's a metal sculptor took it on himself to create this. So hope everybody likes it. We'll see what happens.
Let's see what we have here.
All right.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
That is
Wow,
awesome.
that's awesome.
That looks fantastic.
Wow.
It's all aluminum, so we're all into low maintenance.
That's great.
Frank felt like it looked like something that would be floating in the water and that kind of thing. So we will be able to welcome them to the Battleship.
Right. And it's Navy talk. Welcome aboard.
That's right.
We're so pleased, Danny. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Hey, thanks for everything.
Hey, it's good.
Looks awesome.
It's all a win-win.
Good job. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
The USS Alabama Battleship Memorial Park is an enormous complex full of historic artifacts and memorials to the men and women who have given themselves in service to our country. This week, we've spent some time helping maintain and improve the ship itself, as well as the memorials and facilities that surround it. And we've gotten a lot accomplished. But the real transformation here is much more than just some fresh paint or new rose bushes. It's the transformation that happens in our communities when we team up with our neighbors to serve each other and honor our history. And that's real home improvement. You know, I'm always amazed at how much work you can actually get done when you rally a community.
And we want to thank that community, our wonderful volunteers, the local businesses, Battleship staff, and the City of Mobile for helping us make this project with a purpose happen.
And we want to thank you, our viewers, who have been following Today's Homeowner all of these years.
And the next time you're thinking of a family vacation, think of Mobile, Alabama and Battleship Memorial Park.
I'm Danny Lipford.
And I'm Chelsea Lipford-Wolf.
Thanks so much for watching this special episode of Today's Homeowner. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.